Hey YouTube, what's up? Xbox here with Exiled and Sly again, and we're going to be talking about the new structure deck coming out, Wave of Light screen. And actually, the structure deck is looking pretty decent as far as the cards that are inside of it. So today we're going to be taking an inside look as to what's actually inside.
Yeah, this deck has a lot of potential because it can really maximize on counter traps, and it can search them even, which is kind of like broken, you know. But yeah,
The whole entire Solemn Brigade is accessible to you, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
It has a Solemn Brigade or just has some warning?
Yeah, it only has warning in the deck, but it allows for the potential. Strike's only a 6 card right now. Right? Strike's only 6.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
At the time of this video.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's going to skyrocket after this.
Our popularity will cause it to be $100 after this video, right, guys?
So, it's just we wanted to take a look at some of the newer cards in this. Take a look, see, and then talk about it, like the deck's meta relevancy or how well this deck could actually be
its
as
potential,
a counter.
Yeah.
It's got its potential, and then if it's worth picking up for the casual player, even if you not want to play counter fairy. So, yeah, do you guys just want to go over the cards first?
Yeah, let's start with that. So let's go over to Eva first.
Yeah, do Eva.
It's a pretty beautiful card, as you can see. You know,
I love this card. This card is amazing.
It reminds me of Olimar.
Which card?
Actually,
it reminds me of Olimar
from the Pikmin.
I have no idea what that is.
You uncultured swine. Anyways, so this is Eva. The name will vary up to like the 19th.
Yeah, exactly. It's release date. But yeah, it's cool because it can search stuff. When it's destroyed, you can search it like up to 2 light fairy monsters that are level 2 or lower. When it's killed, you just banish 2 cards and you search 2 cards, which is rather nice. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good deck setting option too, which I really like. It's just more of like a.
It's a starter card, kind of.
It's a starter, yeah.
It starts with your engine because a lot of this deck revolves around like cycling cards through and out, like in and out of the banish zone for monsters, which is kind of intriguing how it does it. Eva's kind of the setter up to start everything off. You can search you and banish, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have the next card,
the boss monster.
Geez, I'm not even gonna. Yeah, the boss, basically the boss monster of the deck. And this actually is kind of I like the comparison we made earlier before we actually started the video. It's just kind of like the ultimate conductor Tyranno of the Dino Structure deck. Kind of like the big boss monster.
No, like a weaker version. A weaker version that does piercing.
Yeah, a weaker version that does piercing. But it's still that big boss monster.
It's weaker, quote-unquote weaker, but it's still strong.
Yeah.
It's a really strong card, though.
I'm only saying weaker in comparison to attack points.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, as far as the body goes.
It also does this one search cards from deck, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
You can search counter traps and the partial,
traps, which is really nice.
Partial monsters, right?
I think so. Let me read the effect. If you activate a counter trap card, or if you negate the activation of a spell, trap card, or monster effect, except during the damage step, you can banish 2 other fairy type monsters from your hand, field, and/or graveyard. Special summon this card from the graveyard. If it was there when you activate or negate, or hand, even if not. If this card attacks the defense position monster and inflicts piercing damage, if this card inflicts battle damage to your if this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can add a partial card. 1 counter trap card from your deck to your hand. Yeah, so you're right.
Yeah, so it starts everything off. It's like well, it's not to start everything off, but it keeps you constantly gaining resources like every single turn, which is really nice.
Attacks and it successfully does battle damage, which is like if it attacks a defense position monster with lower attack or attacks just a monster in general, you'll get the search, which is really nice.
Plus, a lot of monsters that go in defense mode these days have super low defenses. You just attack over, you take like 2,000 life points at least. Or your opponent takes 2,000 life points. That's 1/4 of your opponents per game,
Decks are like decks that you're going to see more of, like ABC. Crushwire, it only has 2,000 defense. So you're still getting the 800 defense, or the 800 damage off, and you still get a search, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially if you're talking about rogue decks, let's say, for example, you're talking about Ojamas, like just out of like pure...
Yeah, Ojamas are going to be so meta.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying, like, as a rogue pick, Ojamas only have 1,000 defense, so you can do at least.
And if they have Ojama Country, they have 0 defense. Moving on to the next card.
Exactly.
The
Minerva. So this one basically, when you detach a material, you can mill 3 cards, right, guys?
Okay, quote unquote Dante. No, every time.
No, that's Minerva from Minerva's one. Come on.
Oh, not that one. The other Minerva.
Exactly.
So basically, every time counter trap is activated, it gains attack, and if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field,
you get the search counter trap card.
Search a counter trap card, which is really nice, actually.
Yeah, which is pretty nice because then if you think about it, you hypothetically with this deck you could use off all of your trap cards, your counter traps like strike super fast. But you can just add them back.
You can,
So it doesn't matter,
add it back
you know?
to your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're gonna have to be careful for baits and stuff, like, because you don't want to strike the wrong thing. Because even if you do manage to add it back, a card to add it back, it's not on the field. It's still in your hand. So
Yeah, you have to set it for a turn. Yeah.
And the good thing is, it's each time a counter trap is activated, so it's not only your counter traps, it's also your opponent's.
Exactly. And if anybody plays counter traps or people play traps today, they play either evenly matched or counter traps. So you know you're gonna always get it when somebody activates a trap card almost.
Yeah, so the Song Brigade, maybe Ultimate Providence, and yeah, what was that one you said?
Recall?
Yeah, no, not Recall. Struggling in Battle, whatever it's called.
Oh, evenly matched.
Evenly matched, my mistake.
Yeah,
OCG Scrubber, guys.
Okay, next.
Next card, it's the Power Angel Valkyria. This card is actually like alright. It's not my favorite in the deck.
Yeah, it just facilitates the monsters really. Where like the biggest part of this deck, and what makes it really good, is its ability to search the trap cards. But this one searches the monster that searches the trap card, so it's good.
It's alright. At least it has like a good attack. So I mean, if you do play like a competitive counter fairy deck, I can maybe see you running one copy of this card if you really want to.
You could find the use for it, definitely. Yeah.
But I don't feel like it'll be necessary.
Oh, this is just the light version of Dark Valkyrie. Oh, that's cool. Next.
This is the Laria. So this is one of the older cards, I believe.
Yes, but this one, if you can set up with like some of the cards we're going to talk about later, you can actually use this to recycle the hand traps that actually come with this deck, because this deck actually comes with its own variation of hand traps, which can stop everything in the game, monster spells and traps. So it's super impressive, not impressive. English man. But this one basically it can act as your recursion. So like that's where the loop comes in. Is this card where everything else banishes stuff? This one returns the banished stuff to give you even more resources to play with later in the game.
Speaking of the hand traps, this is one of them. Herald the Green Light.
Yeah, the Herald of the Green Light. Yeah, all the heralds are in this deck too. So it's not just green light; it's also purple light and orange light. So basically, with purple light, it's the traps. Herald negates the spells, and orange negates the monster effects, which is really nice hand trap.
So you can specialize this with any deck you're playing against. If you're playing against Paleo, you can play 3 of the trap card, or play the 3 of the one that negates traps. If you're playing against other decks, you can play monster negations, spell negations, whatever you want. You know, it's nice.
I actually think this might be a better side deck option than it is main deck, but of course you could main deck it too and still have some viability there.
I think it's a really good card to main deck. It's just like certain ones, in like the trap one, realistically, because people play counter traps, you're not going to be able to negate that. But you could get some good negations. Like let's say somebody like. You could use the purple light one to negate evenly matched actually on an opponent. Which you think about that can be really, really influential in a game. So you could steal a game from like a spiral player just by one card.
Sure.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next card, we have the
Guiding
oh my gosh, this card will be broken. It's really because of the pendulum effect. And that's the only reason you're going to be running this card, really.
Well, honestly, like, yeah, but like it just increases. It does what every single other card in the deck does in its own way, which is it just makes it works even though it's better. Its pendulum effect is the more crucially useful because it's something new, different for the rest of the archetype. Even if you don't have to use it for that, and you have a brick hand, that card can save you. Which is
for those of you who don't know what guiding, whatever this thing's name is, does basically pay life points for counter trap cards. So basically, if you activate 2 strikes in one turn, if you have them on your board, you're saving yourself 3,000 life points.
Exactly. And also
then the other thing is you don't have to discard.
Yeah.
Providence is going to be so good. Next card is going to be the... Okay, this card's actually kind of a neat card, but I don't see why it was necessary in the reprint, but...
Yeah, the other cards in the deck, most of them have some way of, like the boss monster that came out. It has its own way of special summoning itself, so realistically you won't have to use normal, like, which you would for this. There are some cards in the deck that you can use it for, but it's always more optimal to special summon instead of normal summoning, you know? So.
Yeah.
My favorite part about this card is just that it can't be destroyed by battle. And unless, like, let's say if there's not a lot of cards that destroy stuff by battle, it's mostly by card effect, but it's kind of like a better version of Marshmallow in a way, because then you can just summon the Arch, the boss monster guy.
Mm-hmm. Plus, like, because he can't be destroyed by battle, if you're playing this in a non-competitive format or non-competitive setting, it's a really good card because realistically, not too many people play like a ridiculous numbers of just destructions. They might have it, but they likely at the same time won't. So could live through the turn and could get you an extra summon, which could be really powerful and useful for you. It just depends on where you're playing, you know.
Moving on to the next card, it's the new Sanctuary in the Sky. For those of you who don't know what Sanctuary in the Sky is, we'll hit on it a little bit later. So basically what this does is it becomes Sanctuary in the Sky while it's on the field, and it's a continuous spell, so it's not the field spell like the actual Sanctuary in the Sky. Fairy monsters gain a little attack buff, which is alright. The real good part about this card is set spell trap cards can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is really good.
Twin
so that
Twister
means your
sucks.
counter traps, your Twin Twisters can't touch your counter traps. Mystical Space Typhoon can't touch your counter traps.
Cosmic Cyclone can't hit it.
Cosmic Cyclone can't hit it.
The only card that can hit it. The only card that can hit it is localized Trunade, but that hasn't come out yet. I don't think so.
That's true. I'm not going to be happy when that card comes out.
Or Giant Trunade.
If it gets unbanned.
But that's banned. So, yeah, that's basically it. This card's really nice. It's kind of viable for the deck. It's really what everyone needs for it if you do want to play the Counter Fairy.
And
also, the other effect is nice.
Yeah. Speaking of Sanctuary in the Sky, I'm just going to click this link right here.
It's basically Fairy-type monsters don't take any damage, which is nice. But, I mean, you don't really necessarily need it.
Okay.
Cards that are in this, we have some nice reprints. Ties of the Brethren. That's a really good reprint. But, I mean, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically just pay 2,000 life points, and then you can target one level 4 or lower monster you control, and then special summon 2 monsters with the same type from that deck, or same type, attribute, and level. Here's another new card that we like looking at. It's the Rebirth of the Paraseth. This is a counter trap card, so work with the counter fairies. And basically, when anything is activated, you can reveal 1 counter trap card in your hand, discard and pay 1,000 life points to negate the activation. If you do, shuffle it in the deck, which is kind of an alright card by itself. It works in a counter fairy deck, and with Ariadne and all those cards, you don't have to pay any of the costs, which is really nice.
Yeah, but you also get the special off a monster from it, which makes it.
And then
even though the cost is
from
really
the
intense, even if you have to pay it, you get so much from it. It's nice.
Yeah, but the
Paraseth monster. You get a
Paraseth
Paraseth
part
monster
of this effect is just like the last sentence. Then you can summon a Paraseth monster.
from your deck or your extra deck. So that means the Synchro Paraseth monster that came out like years ago is now very viable. You can literally just special summon it from your
Which
extra
sadly is not in the deck.
destruction deck, which is but another older card, but it's definitely going to be more relevant with this because of the whole entire counter trap thing. So basically, if Sanctuary side is on the field, you can negate an activation of a spell, monster, trap, and destroy it. Which is,
you can negate anything except for a summon. That's it. It's powerful.
Yeah. So moving on to the next card, it's going to be Ultimate Providence. For those of you who don't know what this card does, it actually wasn't very popular because
The cost.
The cost, yeah. So now that you don't have to discard for this, so if a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you discard the same type of card. So if a monster effect is activated, you discard a monster. Spells, you discard a spell.
It's macabre.
But you don't have to do
form.
this.
Yeah, it's exactly as just like Sly said. Just macabre.
And now you don't have to do that discard cost if you don't have Ariadne on the field, so it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Solemn Judgment, just about the cost.
Exactly.
Which is really, really good. And
Don't
then the
bring
last
back
card we're
Judgment.
going to go over is Drastic Drop-Off. And this card it's good.
It's a counter trap. And why not talk about it?
It's okay. It's basically like a Star Claws effect where it can discard stuff when stuff's searched, basically.
Yeah. Which, it's actually, I kind of like this card in the deck because it's draws or adds from their deck to the hand. Discard one of the cards, which is really nice. So if someone activates Pot of Greed, you could discard one of the cards. Not that that's happening anytime soon.
When they activate and resolve Shard of Greed, that's when it's going to happen.
When that Shard of Greed hits the field. So I want to talk about the meta relevancy of this deck for a second. Like, how to you guys, what do you think? Do you think this will actually impact the meta a lot, or what are your guys' opinions on this?
I don't think it's going to have any impact on the actual like big scale meta where you think like spirals, trick stars, and all that. However, in the casual scene, this can do a lot. That's where I kind of hold my opinion, you know, because it's not consistent enough to hit down and really take on the like trick stars and spirals, but against like more decks like heroes and like some buffed up 3 triple Ash Blossom way, it realistically could do a lot against them, you know.
first turn deck, but but it's a very glass cannon if it goes second turn, because if you get rid of the Sanctuary of the Sty, if you get rid of the Guiding Ariadne, this deck kind of just shuts down. If you get rid of its searches too, which doing this deck. But I mean, obviously, someone could find a way to like make this deck better, and we just haven't thought of it yet.
Exactly. If the right player comes up and they find exactly what matters with it, what makes it tick, what's the best way of doing everything, they could likely top anything. It's just like
it's like any other
in those
deck.
weird old formats where like what's his name, Jeff Jones would top with anything, absolutely anything. You could still do that if you are skilled enough at building the decks like this. I personally am not. So these two other guys are way better than I am, right?
Sure, let's go with that.
At everything else, they're way worse. Don't worry.
So, and then like the other thing, if you don't want to play counter fairies, is it worth picking up? I would like to think that it is, because you get, first off, for those of you who are pretty budgety players, you get a free Solemn Warning, you get a free Dark Bribe, you get a free Recall, you get all these really good counter traps that you wouldn't have access to otherwise.
Yeah, Recall is a really, really good card. If you don't if you're not willing to spend the money on like a strike or anything like that, Recall's the second best card I'd say on the market for it. Well, sure, you give your opponent's card another card, which isn't optimal, but realistically, if like that card negates the normal summon, it doesn't matter because they don't have another normal summon. So it's a really good card, and there are quite a few cards that are pretty good in the set. Like Honest as well, you know.
It's a token.
I know.
Pretty cool token. So, I mean, the counter traps, if you really don't need any of the counter traps, it's not really worth picking up unless you really, really want to play the counter fairies. Then you're going to need the new stuff.
Yeah, like if you're interested in a fairy deck too, it could be really useful because of the fact of like the Heralds of Orange, Green, and Purple Light. But otherwise, like unless you're really in that target zone or you need the counter traps, it's probably not worth it for you.
So, thank you guys for watching this little review of the structure deck. We'll probably do something like this every time a new product comes out.
Hopefully much, much shorter and much more to the point, but, you know.
We'll get good at it eventually. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry.
We'll get good.
Get good soon.
Thank you guys again for watching. X Pro X, Exiled, and Sly signing out.